hype fans, I'm sure, I bet you couldn't even contain your excitement yesterday, Stone. Just first off, reactions to yesterday's game, and how are you feeling, man?
So, it was a fun slate of baseball games. MLB TV had issues, outages. Lord. They accidentally played the Twins.
Yeah.
The Guardians intro video for the Twins. But once it was all said and done, it was a fun day of baseball. We had Joe Buck calling national baseball games for the first time since the 2022 World Series.
I am so happy you mentioned that because I want to say something. Before we get into the debate of this, the talk of this, I really want to say that I love Joe Buck. And Joe Buck, I think, has done a great job across the decades. I don't get the Joe Buck hate, but Stone, what do you think?
It was a fun slate. Yankees and the Brewers kicked off the season. Austin Wells hit the first ever leadoff home run by a catcher in opening day history. He's also the first Yankee player to also do it. Pretty incredible. Sarah Langs, who is a truly baseball nerd.
Yeah.
Devin Williams struggled a little bit, able to get out of it and get the win. And then the Guardians played the Royals last night, and Jose Ramirez went 0 for 4. But Kyle Manzardo picked up the slack. He had 3 extra base hits, home runs, triple. I don't believe it was a triple, but we'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
That might have been
the double
scorekeeper's benefit. I will give that. But
and then Ben Lively, Tanner Bybee gets food poisoning. Emergency starter Ben Lively, 5 innings, incredibly efficient. His only mistake was the home run to Vinny Pasquantino. And Clase blew the save, but it's nothing to worry about. It was the good pitch that they hit, some good pitches that they hit, but all around, there's a ton of fun stuff. Mackenzie Gore, he made history. 13 Ks in 6 innings. He only gave it 1 hit, and it hasn't been done since the legendary Bob Gibson in 1968. And I think everyone knows the kind of season that Bob Gibson had that year.
68 Gibson.
68 Gibson, probably the best pitcher season.
Well,
they changed their rules.
That's true.
Because of that.
I think, honestly, if we see, they got Mackenzie Gore, they got James Wood from the Padres deal, and then they also got C.J. Abrams, who had the suspension troubles last year, but if he turns it around, I think he can be a really, really solid piece for Washington. We might end up, talking retroactively speaking that the Nationals might have won the Juan Soto trade. And if you would have told me that on that day in July 2022 that they would have won that trade, I would have been flabbergasted. I mean, we all thought that the Nats were barbecue chicken after they traded away Soto, but now he's been on 3 different teams and around the same time frame. I think the Nationals might have won that trade, but that's speculation here and there. The Guardians, what you said, to your point about how Jose kind of slumped in the beginning of the year, and I think the Guardians, across the history of the team, they kind of in the beginning of the year is not the best part of the year for Cleveland baseball, because they're traveling to Chicago, Cleveland, Minnesota. It's going to be cold. But I think if we can see guys like Kyle Manzardo really step up and, solid veterans like Lively only give up 3 or 4 runs or so, I think the Guardians will be right back where they were in 2024.
Definitely. And, speaking of, last year we won our opening game against the Athletics. Speaking of the Athletics, I think they found their ace.
Yep.
Logan Gilbert and Luis Severino went band for band last night.
Yes, they did.
Severino, 6 innings, got out of a tough jam. Logan Gilbert is, I believe for a long time, that the Mariners are the best 1 through 5 rotation in all of baseball. They're insanely good at home. They're insanely good on the road. And if they had an offense, I would immediately put them in my World Series contenders tier. And then it was just a fun game. Like Ryan Bliss, he showcased his speed. Thrown out at the plate, but it's still fun. Tyler Soderstrom homered twice for the Athletics yesterday, and once they get Brent Rooker and Lawrence Butler going around, they'll be all right. I wouldn't be surprised if we talked about the Athletics as a wild card team.
We've talked about this before. I remember when they signed Severino and they made other moves, and they still, we as fans, we've kind of dogged on. They were formerly the Oakland Athletics. Now they're just the Athletics. I like to call them Sacramento, just to tease them a bit. But we all said Rooker should be traded for pieces. But I think, honestly, this ownership group, whatever you want to call it, adjectives about the Fisher group, they did the moves they were supposed to make. Thank you very much, Stone. You're going to be right here. He's not going anywhere. He's sticking